stories on Africa before I wrap up here. The first is from Reuters, and they report that they spoke with a spokesperson from the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front, and this is an ethnic group in the north of Ethiopia, Tigray, the Tigrayan people. It's on the border of Ethiopia and Eritrea, this region. And in November 2020, the government of Ethiopia, depending on what side of this you want to look at, started a offensive or went to quell a uprising in the Tigray region. Again, this is in November of 2020. Last May, the May of 2021, we had statements from the Ethiopian government that their occupation or offensive was ending in Tigray, and that their soldiers would be leaving the area. Although when we actually saw what happened at the time, it looked a hell of a lot more like the TPLF had gotten their ranks together and had actually run out the Ethiopian army. Over the summer, the TPLF gained territory not only in Tigray, but also in the neighboring Amhara region, and also I've read reports of the Afar region. And so what the Tigrayans are now alleging is that the Ethiopian government has opened up attacks on, I believe, where they are holding territory in the Amhara region and also some in Tigray. And some of this is being carried out with airstrikes. Now, from what I could tell, the Western press seems to fairly uncritically air the TPLF side on these issues, and it seems that the TPLF, this was like the faction in Ethiopia that was in charge, say, going back to 2006, when the U.S. Facilitated the Ethiopians going into Somalia, and taking out the Islamic Courts Union. And so, from my perspective, it seems like this is kind of the Western sock puppet side, and my concern would be that any misreporting going on is unfairly reporting bias in favor of the TPLF. But I'm not always certain on that. Just want to make that clear, as I'm doing my best to figure out what's happening in a region in the world where there's not a whole lot of, and especially not a lot of good English media coming from it. Now, one of the reasons why this is important, what's happening in Ethiopia, is because U.S. AID Director Samantha Power has said that she smells a genocide in that country, and anywhere Samantha Power smells a genocide, she is going to look to get very involved. Now, this is actually coming from the State Department, not Sam Power. It's the spokesperson, Ned Price, saying that the U.S. is considering a full range of tools to use in response to reports of Ethiopian government launching an offensive against the northern Tigray region. It doesn't even sound like the U.S. or the State Department, at the very least, has good intelligence on what's going on there. They just have reports that this is happening, so probably just heard from the TPLF it was going on, and they're looking at sanctions against Ethiopia for doing this. Again, they're going to portray this, as this a nonviolent way to deal with the problem, even though it's going to starve and make the situation worse for the people of Ethiopia. Now, Biden will be meeting this week with the president of Kenya, Kenyatta, and that meeting is going to actually happen in the White House. It's the first African leader to meet with Biden, and I think this is probably a pretty lucrative meeting for Kenyatta. And the U.S. White House spokesperson Jen Psaki said that the meeting would be to discuss efforts to defend democracy and human rights, advance peace and security, and accelerate economic growth and tackle climate change. And so, of course, with this country being a neighbor of Ethiopia, you have to think that part of this is going to be, the Biden administration meddling more in that region and in Ethiopia. One other thing going on, I think worth mentioning, is that the meeting will come as the World Court, it's the International Court of Justice, is ruling against Kenya and more favorably for Somalia in a sea border dispute. There's a region of the Indian Ocean that's disputed whether it should be considered Somali or Kenyan territorial waters. It's believed that there's important oil and gas resources there, and the World Court, the International Court of Justice, has signaled that it's going to adopt almost the Somali map. And so, with that, Kenya announced that they were no longer participating in the talks, and not talks, that they were no longer recognizing the authority of the ICJ. And I do expect this to come up at the meeting with Biden. And it's just, you're going to wonder what Biden's willing to trade away to get what he wants elsewhere in the region. Of course, the U.S. government has had a big hand in creating the current Somali government, and of course has just so much power as the world empire, being able to give out aid. How much pressure could they put on Somalia to take a more favorable approach here towards Kenya on this sea border dispute? All right, Eric.